Let's see, what time is it? 12:30 approximately. Yeah, we are now October 30th, Thursday. I'm actually here still at work. I had a late evening, and my last client left at 8:15 p.m., which was unusually late, but that's the schedule that we now have. And because we now have a policy where we need to document all sessions on the same day that the session is held, otherwise there are billing issues, I spent an hour and a half documenting my client sessions for today. And then at that point, it was close to 10 p.m., and I still hadn't set up my new phone on which I need to activate various apps that have not yet been set up, including Lyft and Uber, which I need to use in order to leave this building. This building is not near any subway station or public transportation stops. So I rely on Lyft and Ubers or taxis to get me to and from my workplace. By that point, it was like 11 p.m. And because I still have a lot of work to get done with respect to a brand new electronic record system that the employer is now switching over to, I still have a few hours of work to do ahead of me. I am in a building that is a large office building located approximately 7 miles from the building where I reside and have been residing since 2011. Starting in 2013 or 2014, the building management of my building seemed to have switched over to some kind of a new business model that involved getting rid of all of the functional, out-of-pocket paying tenants who had jobs and who were paying rent out of pocket, out of their earnings, and housing large numbers of DMH and DPH inmates, and working with agencies at the state level who seek to place and house criminally insane, violent offenders, pedophiles, rapists, wife beaters, et cetera, et cetera. And now the building where I live is, even though the building management claims it's still for people who work and pay rent out of pocket, it's basically just a mental hospital. One of the inmates that showed up initially in 2013 when the building management changed their business model to renting to psychopaths was a psychopath, female sex offender, pedophile, obsessive stalker, mentally disturbed, homicidal maniac, basically, named Jasmine Irizarry. Irizarry, even at the time, showed signs of obsessive stalking. She would literally unlock the door to my apartment from the outside when I was in the apartment, and she would stand in the doorway and start singing loudly and fiddle with things in the doorway to make sure that I saw her standing there and that I heard her singing in my doorway with the door open. This happened several times, and when I mentioned it to the office staff, because I thought she was a member of maintenance, I said, "Why is maintenance trying to get into my apartment all the time?" They said, "She's not maintenance." So this person, unfortunately, is still being housed in the 5 Union Ave building that the property manager, Oleg Lisliev, claims is for people who work and pay rent out of pocket. And I'm not sure why he continues to house this homicidal sex offender, psychopath, and psycho stalker named Jasmine Irizarry in a building that he claims is for people who work, because she doesn't work, at least not legitimately at any corporate job. She works in terms of psychotically stalking other women who the law enforcement personnel at the E13 police station told me she tends to target. She targets other women, and she literally follows people around everywhere they go. These days, if you want to follow people around, you don't have to walk down the street behind them to find out where they're going. All you need to do is access their electronic devices and hack into their emails, or even just use Bluetooth that bypasses the password capacity for a device. And you have all of the information of somebody's activities, their comings and goings, who their friends are, their contacts. You have access to their call logs, their geo-tracking location, et cetera, et cetera. So when I'm sitting here at work at 12:30 a.m. on a weeknight, and I am observing and noting that there appears to be signs that this psychotic stalker inexplicably is in this building, and not just in this building, but somewhere either above or below, although she's probably not below because the building materials in a floor are very dense. I'm not sure what's above me. There's obviously a suspended ceiling with some holes in it. Is that a vent or some kind? Yeah, that looks like a ventilation grate. I've been smelling insane amounts of marijuana and cigar smoke while I've been sitting here. And this is very strange because this is an office building and there should not be anybody obsessively smoking marijuana and cigars at this hour in an adjacent suite to this one. I mean, it's way too late for that. Not even the cleaning staff would be in the building at this time. The building locks down at 7 p.m. I did not know this. And one of my clients was trying to get in, which is not good. I didn't realize the front door locks at 7. I thought it locked at 8. So anybody trying to get into this building after 7 p.m. would have probably had a hard time. So that means that whoever is right now smoking obsessively in either the unit above this one or below, but I think it's above, got in here before 7 p.m. Yeah. That's how you know there's actually smoke. When I cannot breathe all of a sudden, I am so sensitive to any kind of smoke. I'm a non-smoker, and smoke literally chokes me up when I have to breathe it in. Why in the world am I choking on sickening amounts of marijuana and cigar smoke at almost 1 a.m. on a weeknight when I'm sitting here trying to get my work done? And there are some very obvious signs that the psychopath and sex offender named Jasmine Irizarry, who has been doing this from behind various walls of whatever place, location, or building I happen to be in since 2013, is at this time deliberately doing what she has been doing for 11 years now and obsessively propagating. I don't know how she propagates these fumes and smoke, but deliberately propagating sickening, intense amounts of smoke and fumes into whatever space I happen to be in, regardless of where that space happens to be. This is something new. This wasn't happening a few years ago. A few years ago, Jasmine Irizarry kept her deliberate usage of some type of smoke or fume propagation device. She limited that to the building at 5 Union Ave, where she has been verifiably sponsored and housed by the crooked Russian slumlord property manager Oleg Aleseyev and the property owner Alex Kritnik since 2013. But now it's happening in other buildings and in other locations around Boston, wherever I happen to go on a regular basis, places like the office centers where I go to get work done when I'm not at work, such as my workplace, such as cafes. Irizarry claims that she is a structural engineer who gets paid to take care of problems. Why in the world would she be getting paid to follow me around outside of the 5 Union Ave building? Right? I mean, I'm not in the building. I thought she was being sponsored by Mr. Aleseyev, the property manager, who has bragged that she's such a talented hacker. She can hack into anything. She can take care of any problem. Why in the world would she be following me around outside the building? I don't know, but she is. That's exactly what is happening right now. And because I can barely breathe and my voice is getting raspy and gritty as a result of the smoke that I've been breathing in now for 2 hours, and that continues to come into this space, even though this is not a residential building and there is probably some very dense materials between walls and floors of this office building. But again, yeah, The kicker that this is Jasmine Irizarry and not some random squatter who accesses the building after hours is that there's the use of a directed energy device that has also been going on for the last few hours. And at first I thought it was just a mistake. It's like, oh, maybe I just walked by like a router, or maybe my computer is, suddenly emitting a lot of EMF output. No, this is a directed energy device. And that is the same directed energy device that I have become unbelievably familiar with, to a very detrimental extent, over the last few years. And that is something that Jasmine Irizarry has made multiple comments in writing on my social media pages, that claiming that she is getting paid $300,000 to use a directed energy device, that she is not using it that hard, that she has it mounted on a tripod, that she's aiming it at my head. These are all accurate comments that completely align with my own personal experience on the receiving end of this type of electronic assault device. And Irizarry continues to use this directed energy device to let me know that she is in the vicinity of where I happen to go. This happens outside the building now. So once again, the use of a directed energy device used to only occur when I was physically in my unit at 5 Union Ave. And then over the last few years, it started happening outside the building. And now it's happening here at work, even at this late hour where the building has been locked for 7 hours now or 6 hours, and nobody should be in the adjacent suites to this one. I suspect Irizarry is above somewhere. But again, I don't know. I have no way of knowing that. All I know is that the same exact methods of harassment and the delivery of physical harm to my person that occurs on an hourly basis when I am in my unit at 5 Union Ave are now inexplicably, but very physically, making themselves known and occurring here in this very unlikely spot while I'm in the process of trying to get my work done after having had a busy evening of delivering professional services to my employer.